Hello and welcome to Points of Light. I am Pastor Becca Midiki-Conlin. I am the Director of Evangelical Mission and Associate for Youth and Young Adult Ministry for the Arkansas-Oklahoma Synod. And this is our series in the season after Epiphany, in which we are highlighting different semi-unique ministries that are happening within our Synod so that you can be inspired and steal away the idea for Jesus, as all ministry is borrowed and adapted based on our context. So with me today is Cathy, who is the head of the Green Team at University in Norman. And she's here to talk about the entire Green Team's ministry, but specifically their Styrofoam densifier and recycling program, which is something very unique to them. So Cathy, I'll let you just take it away and you can share about how the project came to be and some of the unique things that it has allowed you to do.
Well, thank you so much for offering this opportunity to others in the Synod to become more ecologically aware and environmentally conscious and to do something, not just learn, but to do something. That's the real trigger here. We began our environmental stewardship committee in 2016. And we more or less went through a survey of the whole congregation through their homes and also how we use and recycle things in our church. And we found that we had a lot of waste going on. And one of the biggest things that stood out was that during worship, during the corporate prayers, we would always pray for the earth, for God to bless us and to give us rain when we were in drought and to stop the rain when we had too much. And then 20 minutes later, after our fellowship breakfast, we had two 60-gallon bags of styrofoam waiting at the back door to be thrown away. And after watching that for a period of time, it was just, I'm too green to not say something about that. And so I gathered a couple of friends and we went to council and called that to council's attention. And council said, you're right, we should do something. So you can head up the Environmental Stewardship Committee, and it's a subcommittee under stewardship. And so we work collaboratively with all the committees in the congregation and all the groups and functions in order to try to help them be as green as possible in what they're doing. So we began by doing that and doing the church-wide survey. And then in March of 19, we began looking for other missions to reach out to, excuse me. We decided that because Goodwill had stopped collecting styrofoam, and that was a totally untapped market in Norman, that we would try to collect styrofoam and find a way to recycle it. We determined that DART Container Corporation in Ada accepts clean styrofoam. And so we then had a vendor that would take our styrofoam if we collected it. So in May of 18, May 18th rather, we took 18 bags, 30-gallon bags of styrofoam to Ada with just 2 months notice, and the congregation collected that much. Excuse me, just a sec. Got a phone call coming in, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So we took them down and it just grew from there. And in September, on September 10th of 21, when you were with us, Pastor Becca, we celebrated our 1,000th bag of styrofoam recycled by densifying it. Now, densifying is a whole different function. I wrote a grant proposal to a National Plastics Institute And they gave us a grant of $23,000 in order to purchase this 900-pound machine called a Densifier and a 12-foot trailer on which it was mounted. And so in doing that, we became a mobile densifying operation. Then we said, well, shoot, we can go someplace now. Where can we go? Many of you probably saw the Densifier at the Senate Assembly last spring, where we densified foam in Tulsa. But throughout the year, we go to 6 different Pioneer Library System libraries and densify on their designated Saturdays. And we're doing it 3 times a year at each library, and we're adding more libraries now. So we have currently 6,500 pounds of styrofoam in storage. And we're looking for a plastics manufacturer who uses the number 6 foam to buy it from us. Now, we aren't a business as such, but any money that we are able to get for the styrofoam, we will turn right back into densifying expenses, because like a car, a densifier has to have maintenance. This densifier has an 8 horsepower Honda lawnmower engine that needs gasoline. And we need gasoline to be covered as an expense when we go to Moore, Shawnee, Norman, Noble, Blanchard, Newcastle, and Purcell on regular dates. So that's kind of how we've gone. And until we find a manufacturer that wants our densified, we're out of luck. And let me show you what a densified log looks like. Hang on, I'm going to move, so don't get dizzy with me.
We'll be able to hold on.
Yeah.
People need to take their Dramamine. So
Let's see. Well, that's still looking at me. How do I do this? Uh-oh.
I was gonna say, if you just stand next to the log, because I saw it in the background earlier when we were talking. So, oh, there it is.
I can't get away far enough. Let me go up and down. Does that go crazy?
That works. So
there we go. It's about 4 feet tall. And this one weighs about 8 to 10 pounds.
Okay.
3 logs like this, densified, are equal to 1 pickup truck bed full of styrofoam.
That always amazes me, just how much air comes out of the styrofoam.
Yeah. Styrofoam is 50% air.
Now,
there you go.
Have you found buyers in the past for those logs?
Well, as a matter of fact, we have received phone calls from potential buyers.
Okay.
But they turn out to be halfway across the country. And by the time we would have a driver with their truck come out this way and cover the lodging and food expenses and the gasoline for a semi truck, it eats up the profit that the buyer may have. So we're looking for a plastics manufacturer, hopefully in Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, or Texas, northern Texas. We can always sell it down around Houston, but that again is an 8-hour drive from here and 8 to 10 hour drive from here. And it's just too far to make it profitable. So we've encompassed a lot of people in this program, and it's not by accident, it's intentional. Our first civic organization were the Master Gardeners of Cleveland County. I'm a Master Gardener. They all jumped on the bandwagon. And so once a month, they fill up my RAV4 top to bottom with foam to densify. And of course, we ask that it be brought to us clean, because dirty styrofoam can't go in the densifier. It all sticks together and makes big clogs, and that's not good. We were after church probably 6 months ago, we were sitting at Chili's waiting to be served. And I sat down on a bench with a lady who had a little girl in her lap. And we got to talking, and she said, "What's your church noted for?" And I said, "Well, styrofoam recycling." She wanted to know more. She introduced herself as the community liaison for a private school that was looking for a green project and to support. And they've had us out. We did programs for all their kids. We're going back in April with the densifier, and they are bringing us styrofoam every other month. It's just, today at the hospital, I was waiting for an elevator, and the man who got off the elevator was an employee who was driving a cart that had probably conservatively 20 to 30 boxes on it. And it was kind of surprising to see that many boxes. And I said, "Wow, I wish I needed to ship something." And he said, "We get boxes all the time." And it just came into my mind and out of my mouth at the same time. "Do you ever get styrofoam?" And he said, "Oh, all the time." And I said, "How do you get rid of that?" He said, "Just put it in the trash." And so it gave me the perfect opportunity to pull out one of our handy dandy flyers that tell about the styrofoam program, what we take and why we take it, and where we're going to be densifying in the coming months. And he gave me in return the name of the materials management supervisor for the hospital and his phone number, and said, "He's my boss, and I bet he'd be interested in knowing this." And so I'll be making a phone call tomorrow. This is God's project. Anybody can do it, and because God is supporting it. We know this for a fact. There have been too many coincidences. And another coincidence, once we get these styrofoam logs, we have to keep them under cover if we store them outside, because the styrofoam degrades like a white plastic outdoor chair would. It gets brittle and chalky, and it loses its value as far as recycling is concerned. And so we've been covering them with a tarp and protecting them that way. But we've been looking for a place to store our logs. And I got a telephone call from a man who said that he had been bringing us styrofoam for some time, was happy to do it. And I said, "Well, that's wonderful." And he called back about 6 months later and said that he was still bringing us styrofoam. And he said, "You're really going to make this work, aren't you?" And I said, "Well, the community seems to think it's necessary." And he said, "How can I help you?" And of course, that's something that every program director wants to hear. And I said, "We're looking for a place where we could store our styrofoam. We haven't secured them there, but they are on pallets right now." And he said, "Oh, that's wonderful. I'm the director of the Oklahoma Geological Survey associated with OU. We've got 3 warehouses and we'd be happy to store them for you." And I said, "Is there a cost involved?" And he said, "Oh, no, we want to help the environment." You can't manufacture contacts like that. This is a God thing. It's God's project. It's the right thing to do to take care of the earth for the next generation and those who come after that.
Yeah, it has amazed me just how much it's bloomed. I know a few of the other congregations near you are collecting styrofoam as well. I mean, I've been an environmentalist since I was little, and as a result, like I don't eat a whole lot of fast food to begin with, but I especially don't get drinks at some of those like Sonic and when I lived in the Northeast, I am not a huge coffee drinker, but like I hate it going to Dunkin' Donuts because if you get anything other than a small, it's a styrofoam cup.
Right.
And it doesn't degrade, it doesn't compost. You can't, and if it ends up in one of those trash programs where they burn the trash, it releases all the chemicals.
That's right.
It's not as good as, it's reduce, reuse, recycle. Reduce and reuse is first, but if you can't do it, recycle is great. And so that at least it's an option. I really wish Dunkin' wouldn't have styrofoam cups to begin with, but I'm glad to know that at least, those, and I know that like a lot of the, since you're on a college campus or surrounded by a college campus, that some of the sororities and fraternities collect all of their styrofoam and just will bring you the stacks of all the cups or the.
Well, I'm trying to show you here if I can get behind it. Let's see, beside me. Okay, beside me and down. You see boxes? Great
Yes.
big set of boxes. We just ordered boxes, and this is 20 white boxes with a recycle symbol on them.
Oh, yes.
And we have a club on campus called Styrofoam, and they are in the process of placing these boxes around campus, and we are actually getting styrofoam off of OU's campus. They already have made the decision not to use styrofoam when they provide the food or drinks, but their vendors are still using styrofoam. So that's a point that the Styrofoam Club is going to be addressing with the university to see what kind of push that we can have to get vendors not to use styrofoam on campus.
Yeah. But, and even if the university is not at any level, there's still students that will bring in their cup from Sonic, from Whataburger, or there'll be boxes that come that have styrofoam in them. When I moved into this house, we had ordered some new bookshelves and there's a lot of styrofoam. But every time either myself or Bishop Mike go down to a university, we bring our styrofoam from the office and from each other's and bring it on down with us. And there's a little bit of a squeak in my back seat as I drive down to Norman.
It keeps you company.
So
we also recycle egg cartons. We get tons of egg cartons. Let me get we get egg cartons that are
all the different colors.
All different colors. And we stack them up.
Sell them with eggs in them right now, you would be millionaires.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But we have egg cartons out our ears, and we get about 500 to 600 a month of egg cartons. And we have people, a couple, Cynthia and Mike, who are not church members, but who are local, and they have an egg producing operation, and they come by about every 6 weeks and take all of our egg cartons. We give them 500 to 600 at a time.
Fabulous use of reuse instead of recycle. And then we were talking before we start to record that the last time I was at university, there was a gentleman there who was going through some of the coolers, which you can show off in a moment, the big styrofoam coolers, because he creates cat homes for the feral cats in his neighborhood out of them in the winter. So as a way for them to stay warm.
Yes. And they actually they put a hole in the side of it that's about cat size, stuff it with straw instead of cloth, because straw dries, cloth will just stay wet and get moldy. And they put them out where they know the feral cat communities are, and they weight them down with a cinder block or a large piece of firewood, and cats live in them all winter long. Yeah. Which is, we have one more reuse. Let me go over here and I can maybe show you this. I can hold these actually. We are bundling bundling our the sacks in which a lot of our recycled foam come in, and then putting on it a gift for you from the foam recycling program at University Lutheran, and bring your clean foam here. This, and then we ask people to take them, put them in the back of their cars, just in the back seat on the floor. And when they see a landscaper out, either mowing or picking up leaves, just open the window and say, do you use leaf bags? And they'll say, sure we do. And we just give them leaf bags to advertise our program. And then so we get rid of them that way.
That is a fantastic, and it's amazing how you start to make all these connections of how else can we do this waste? What else can we do with it?
Isn't it amazing?
Yes, and it's definitely a God program here.
Yep. And we heard that there was a ministry by one of the Baptist churches nearby, not in Norman, but nearby, but they do a medical mission on some Saturday mornings, and they provide medical services for indigents. And so they get doctors and nurses and physical therapists to come and volunteer their time. And here we've started collecting pill bottles, tons of pill bottles that we say, please bring them to us without the labels. So you won't see any labels on these. And they have been having to send home medicine in Ziploc bags with the label stuck on the outside of it. And that's just not safe if you have children in the home. And so anyway, people are bringing us their pill bottles empty, and then we give them to the church.
That's good to know. I actually just had a bunch of pill bottles when my dog was on some medications, as they were only giving us like a week at a time of prescriptions. So we went through a lot.
We're trying to find other organizations that will take them from us, because we've given this particular church 3 of those bags in the last probably 8 months, and they say we have too many. And so I've started putting it on Free Cycle and some of the other free sites, and people are coming by and picking them up for craft sorting of beads, and guys with their fishing hooks and things like that. So they go.
Wonderful. If somebody is nearby, if they're another church in Oklahoma City area, collect styrofoam, have someone bring it down to you every once in a while. Should they coordinate with you when to come by and drop it off?
Our styro station is located right by an exit door on the back of the church.
Yes.
All of the doors across the back of the church have styrofoam on them with arrows pointing in the right direction. And so actually our address here is 914 Elm, and the parking lot is right behind the church off of College Street. And so people can come to the styro station Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, and drop off foam. If our administrative assistant needs to be out of the building and the door needs to be locked, we put a large box outside, and it almost always comes back. When we come back, it's full. And this has become a regular stop. There isn't a day that goes by that we don't get foam from the public.
Yeah, and so if you're coming with like a truckload full, maybe give the university a heads up that you're coming, so somebody can be there to help. And bring it right into the building instead of in that, because larger than a box. If somebody further afield and wants to recreate a ministry similar at their own congregation, can they contact you through the church office as far as learning more about how to get a densifier? And
yes. There are 2 or 3 things tied up in there. We didn't get a densifier for more than a year. You have to kind of prove the concept before being able to have enough credibility to get funding for a densifier. We had credibility, and so because of what we had done before and the amount of foam that we were already taking in and driving, and our big thing there was, we're saving the world from styrofoam, but we're using gasoline to do it, because we had Ada is about an hour from here, an hour's drive. So it's actually 2 hours worth of gasoline that it was taking us to get rid of styrofoam, period. So, and yes, I will happily give out my email address, and it is cate46@yahoo.com. And if anyone is interested in knowing particulars, I'd be happy to send the file that you can print your own copies of these and share in the congregations, and get some ideas going there. My husband and I are retired, and we happily will travel in Arkansas. We think that's a great state too. And so invite us over for a meeting. If you're trying to convince others that you'd like to do this, we'll come over and talk to you about it. And if you collect a whole bunch of styrofoam, we might even bring the densifier and have a festival, a foam festival.
That's great. Yeah, and even if it's not styrofoam, to just think about how we are called to care for the environment, and whether it's the plastic bags or the pill bottles, and also to look around at what you are throwing away as a congregation on the regular, that maybe could be recycled or reused within your community, and start to make those contacts, because yeah, as you said, it started with foam, but then it went to egg cartons and pill bottles and plastic bags and coolers, so that, from anything from, that all of God's creatures are being cared for. So,
and it also extends to crayons, recycling broken and used up crayons through the Crayon Initiative, a not-for-profit in California. Mm-hmm. And we even collect plastic barreled markers that are like Sharpies that are used up. And we understand that the Crayola Corporation takes those.
Yes. My last call was in Easton, Pennsylvania, Homo Crayola, and they will take your Crayolas back. So, well, they'll take any plastic barrel markers, but especially the Crayola ones back. So
right. But it's just, this certainly isn't how we intended to spend our retirement, but it is so rewarding. The towns that we visit on a regular basis, their people are showing up month after month, and they're becoming friends. And some even go to the trouble of driving their stuff here when we aren't there often enough. So it is a way to take care of creation, and maybe even instead of giving up something for Lent that's like chocolate or whatever, maybe you could give up styrofoam for Lent. Or maybe you could make it a point to collect styrofoam during Lent, and then let's have a big festival during Earth Week.
Yep. And the ELCA Young Adults Ministry they have a big thing about no plastics for Lent. This is their third or fourth year they've been doing no plastics for Lent. I'm going to have to get you in contact with Jenna, who's the ELCA Young Adult person, to learn a little bit more about that. But we also forget styrofoam is plastic, and not some other things. So, any other last bit of advice you would give to people? That
never think that you're too old to have a new passion, because if it hits you, if the bug bites you, you've got it. And I, just like the man coming out of the elevator today, never had any thought about talking about styrofoam in the hospital, but there was the opportunity. And you don't have to be afraid that the words won't come, because when you're doing the right thing, God gives you the language.
That's fantastic. Thank you for ending with those words of wisdom, and I invite you to end with our blessing that we've been doing during the Points of Light series. It comes from Pastor Julie Record and Lord of Life in Edmond that has been doing their pajamas and PJs. They end with the blessing of making a sign of the cross on your forehead and hearing the words that God loves you, and so do I.
I love all of you, and I hope that you'll join us in taking care of God's creation.
Thank you, Cathy.
Uh-huh.